Hi there. My name is Carri LeRoy. I've been teaching at the Evergreen State College since 2005, and I am a stream ecologist. I study connections between forests and streams and how forests can influence stream ecosystems and aquatic organisms. Most recently, I've been working at Mount St. Helens and trying to understand the development of 5 unique watersheds that have formed on the north flank of Mount St. Helens since the 1980 eruption. So a chance to see watersheds developing from scratch. So I'll tell you a little bit more about my research.
All right, here we go. So here's a picture of Mount St. Helens prior to the eruption. And here's a series of photographs taken on May 18th, 1980, first thing in the morning. And you can see this massive landslide as the north side of the mountain gave way. Here's a picture of what Mount St. Helens looks like today. And that landslide, kind of the guts of the mountain, ended up all over the front part, the north face of the mountain in what's called the pumice plain. Here's a picture from a map from overhead showing that debris, avalanche, and pyroclastic flow zone going down into Spirit Lake. And on the pumice plain, we have now 4 major streams that have formed: Camp Creek, Geothermal Creek, and Clear Creek. Here you can see pictures of researchers and students collecting all kinds of data on the mountain. And this is kind of a picture of what the pumice plain looks like today. So there's these really cool ribbons of green. As you can see, riparian zones forming on the surface and these channels that have started to carve out. The 2 main species of riparian plants are Sitka alder and Sitka willow. And I received a grant from the National Science Foundation to dig into how these plants are colonizing streams and what they're doing to help the streams develop. So it turns out that willows are dioecious, meaning they're both male and female plants. And we've done a bunch of research to try to understand how these gender and sex differences might influence ecosystems and communities. So the first one is the stem-boring weevil that's shown here. It was native to Europe and introduced to North America in 1923, and it kills willow branches, and it actually tends to like females more. So here's just some data showing that the female willows are lower in nitrogen, but higher in a carbon to nitrogen ratio, and that the females tend to colonize closer to the stream than males do. Weevils actually tend to prefer female willows. And so they're causing branch death and leaf mortality right along the riverside. And of course, because streams are really reliant on streamside vegetation, this can be really influential. So it turns out that female leaves decompose slower than male leaves. And this means that they're in the stream for longer as a food resource for aquatic insects. There are a lot of aquatic insects. There's all kinds of organisms on the pumice plain. So it's only been 40 years, but we have 38 riparian plants, 55 different types of algae, 96 diatoms, and over 85 species of benthic macroinvertebrates, or aquatic insect species. So I'd just like to thank all of my undergraduate research assistants, or my wondergrads, for their help over the last few years. These are all of their smiling, wonderful faces. And I'd also like to thank the Evergreen State College, National Science Foundation, the U.S. Forest Service, and some collaborators, Shannon Clausen, Deb Finn, and John Bishop's lab for help, and the Evergreen Science Support Center for field care and lab assistance. Thank you. So I had the great pleasure of working with Mari Eckstein-Gower on this artist book, and we had several opportunities to talk by phone and over Zoom, and to talk about Mount St. Helens and to help her understand the development of the streams on the pumice plain. It was really neat to see how Mari translated not just the research that I've been involved in out on the mountain, but the entire story of Mount St. Helens and the eruption, making connections to other eruptions in history and making connections to a broader story for the Pacific Northwest. The book itself, I have seen parts of it. I've seen the artwork as it's moving into the pages. I have an idea of how the book is going to open up and tell both the story of the devastation on one side and the development and recolonization on the other. And I think it will be really neat to be able to flip back and forth and see those things in concert. The pieces themselves are they're full of movement and they're abstract and colorful, and they really capture the feeling. And I think it's going to be really really fun to read this book. Um, and I think that in a way, having, I mean, a huge part, having an artist take the story and turn it into this visual landscape is a way for people to visit Mount St. Helens without having to go there in person. And it might inspire lots of people to visit. It's an amazing place to visit, and so hopefully this book will bring new visitors to the mountain.